Hello, and welcome to episode 31 of Stories of Horror. I'm your host, the Arsenal Dwaylen Butler. In today's episode, we dive into a murder mystery. A mystery surrounding the infamous and horrific crimes of the Long Island Killer. The Long Island has crimes that reign over 20 plus years, but was never identified. So we're going to dive into the details of those horrific actions and dive into who was the Long Island Killer. So sit back and relax and enjoy the show. Without further ado, hit the intro. The Long Island Killer, also known as Gilgo Beach Killer and Craigslist Ripper, has crimes that spread for over 20 plus years, but the crazy thing is, he was never identified or caught. Starting back in 1996, the police started discovering human remains near the Gilgo Beach on Long Island South Shore, and they will find even more for the next 10 plus years. The Gilgo Killer, or Beach Killer, or the Long Island Killer, or the Craigslist Ripper, has never been identified to this day. They have some, they have some suspects that they might try to put the blame on to people like this, trying to make the town or make the city sleep at night. Like, the Long Island Killer, we kind of got the guy. We think he's the guy who did it, like that. And they might arrest somebody else who did some crimes that may be similar, but they never really identified or found the Long Island Killer like that. But the Long Island Killer has crimes that reign over the 20 plus years, because 1996 was when they started finding things, finding remains. I don't know if anything goes before then like that, but they realized that it was the same person because all the bodies was in similar spots in similar areas, and then they found out that they were dealing with not just a regular kill like that, which is still bad, but they're dealing with a serial killer, a psychopath on the loose, and he could be still on the loose as well at large. I don't know if he's still doing the same crimes, but in 1986, they said they kind of speculated that maybe that the killer was maybe between the ages of 20 and 40. Be able to do the things he did, and they said the way it was, if he can be 60 or 70-year-old man or woman, or who the killer is, he can be able to do that to go out there. But I think they kind of identified that was a man because they saw the strangling of some of the people and the handprints and the size of the hands that would be like more masculine body and stuff like that. So we're going to dive into a little bit more of this. That's just the first little part about the initial thing we get into. But the next part is some crazier stuff. The finding of the first victim, whose name was Shannon Gilbert and who was 23 years old, was found by Officer Malia and his dog. The duo found the human remains along the Gilgo Beach, which began a 20-year-long investigation of murders by an unidentified suspect. It is believed that the suspect serial killer strangled between 10 to 16 of his victims, all being women but one. The police figured this wasn't a coincidence because 4 other bodies were found right in the same place. Now, dealing with a lot of these like serial killers or psychopaths, as you know, that we covered a lot of them through the channel on the Stories of Horror episodes, from Jack the Ripper, from Dean Coral, from a lot of different guys on the channel, Mr. Cruel. A lot of them either have a pattern, they have a pattern, or they even have a ritual, or they have some type of like trophy to them, some type of accolade to them, a trophy to them for what they did like that. We've seen a lot of people, like Jeffrey Dahmer has the body parts that he keep and the organs and stuff like that. He has some type of weird fantasy or fetish with organs, and it's just like he loves to keep them and stuff like that. And we know Dean Coral, his pattern was young boys. He messed with young boys a lot. He sexually abused them and then he killed them like that. Hit the little bed thing. He did the same thing every time like that. Was his pattern. That was his ritual, what he used to do and things. And Long Island Killer, maybe something similar. He has a target. Jack the Ripper was similar to him. That's why they call him Craigslist Ripper and Jack the Ripper, because Jack the Ripper targeted a lot of sex workers and prostitutes. And then the Long Island Killer does the same thing as well, because most of the victims were escorts on Craigslist. So he kind of like maybe disguised himself as someone else, and he probably lured them in. He probably killed them and trying to send, I don't know, send some type of message or what is the motive of these kills, but that's kind of what the evidence they had to go with so far. The Long Island Killer has a lot of victims, and here are some of the names of the victims from the Long Island Killer investigation. Maureen Brannard Barnes, 25-year-old woman, last seen on July 9, 2007, after traveling to New York. She was an escort on Craigslist. Jessica Taylor, 20-year-old woman, went missing in July 2003 in New York City. Her partial remains was found on July 26, 2003, and the rest was found in 2011. Number 3 was an unidentified Jane Doe. She was African American. She had a peach tattoo, but she was found dismembered. So she had a dismembered torso, was found in 1997, and more of her remains was found in late 2011. Megan Waterman went missing June 6, 2010, was found in December 2010. She was also an escort on Craigslist as well. Valerie Mack, who was 24 years old, remains found was in November of 2000 and April of 2011. Baby Doe, the child of number 3, the Jane Doe, remains was found in 2011, and it was identified that she was in fact the daughter of number 3. Melissa Barthelme, who was 24 years old, went missing on July 10, 2009, was found in December 2010. She was also an escort on Craigslist as well. Number 7 was found in 2011, and partial of her remains was found in 1996. Amber Castillo, 27, who went missing September 2nd, 2010, found December 2010. She worked as an escort on Craigslist as well as many of the other victims on this list. John Doe, who was an identified man, was found in April 2011, suspected to be dead between 5 and 10 years. He died from a blunt force trauma to the face and was most likely an escort as well. When the officers found his body, he was found in women's clothing. Shannon Gilbert, who was 23, was also an escort from Craigslist, who disappeared in May 1st, 2010. Her remains was found in December 2010. Natasha Hugo, 31, was last seen on March 16, 2013, leaving her home. The next day, her car was abandoned along the Gilgo Beach, along with her body on June 24, 2013. Another Jane Doe, unidentified woman, was found in 2007, and just like number 3, she had a breast tattoo, and her torso was dismembered, and her head was decapitated. On June 27, 2008, the remains of 39-year-old Tanya Rush, who worked as an escort, was found dismembered in a suitcase bag. So right now they have kind of found 14, it says 14 to 16 victims, because they found like different remains of other people, like body parts and stuff, because like they said, like stuff was scattered throughout the place, throughout the beach and stuff. So they found the remains of a lot of different people. So it says between 14 to maybe 16 or maybe even more people that they have found from the Long Island killer. But this these events and this is like horrific and very terrible what the Long Island killer done, and it could be still at large. You never know. And some people might ask, like, how they can trace them down, like, from the Craigslist thing. Craigslist, as you know, it can be a dangerous place. There's a lot of different stories. You can just type it in on Google or look on YouTube, look at a lot of different, like, bad Craigslist stories and different events of things that happen, from murder, from kidnapping, and etc. All the craziest things on the Craigslist. That's why it was a dangerous place to be on, like, to try to ask for services or anything. But I don't know exactly how they can find this guy. Of course, they most likely probably tracked down what they was contacted from Craigslist. They probably asked the witnesses around, because they said that one lady, because one lady, who was the lady that went missing, basically like within a short period of time. Right here, there was Natasha. She was 31 years old. She was last seen on March 16, 2013, leaving her home. The next day, her car was abandoned along the Gilgo Beach, along with her body on June 24th. So she was gone for about a few months like that. So it kind of happened fast. And you'd think that maybe like he put the body right back on the beach. You'd think they have it like kind of like monitored or secured to maybe watch out for some of the things. But I guess they still was kind of like having a full-blown investigation on it. So maybe most likely probably search the car to try to see if they can find any DNA on the car. But whoever the person is, they're very good at hiding themselves. Most of the time in the old days, be like, the technology wasn't the best, so it's kind of hard for them to find things. But you think nowadays they'd be like, it'd be easier for them to find people. But still, a lot of people who find ways to keep themselves incognito. And what's crazy is one theory that people be talking about like too as well. Like you go in the movie theaters or going somewhere and you're watching the movie about the person, and then like oh, it's like a reincarnation, not a reincarnation, but I don't know what I said reincarnation for. more like a kind of like a, yeah, not a homage, of course, definitely not, like kind of like a documentary type style. You watching something based off a person, like a movie was made by, oh, Jack the Ripper movie or something like that. Jack the Ripper long, he's long dead by now, but like a Jack the Ripper movie. Imagine like thinking that they never caught him, so you never know who the person is or he identified as like that, and then he might be sitting next to you in the theater watching it with you. So that can be like a little theory to think about too as well. You'd be like, yeah, so like it's a lot of different these murder mysteries or these crime mysteries that a lot go unsolved like that, and like it's just like lack of evidence or lack of full-blown investigations that go with it, and like there's a lack of leads and stuff. But this one right here, I don't think they're still finding anything lately. I know they had an article back in 2017 or 2018 talking about this and discussing the things, kind of like just giving you a history around the Long Island Killer. But to this day, he has yet to be found. But that's all we got for today's video. Leave in the comment section what you guys like down below, and I'll see you guys on the next episode of Stories of Horror. Hit the outro.